Welcome back to the 1009 podcast. We got a jam-packed episode. Another wild weekend of football. Even got a special guest. You'll figure that out later. It's a dynamic duo tonight. Jacob's dealing with some things right now. Grayson might scream during the middle of this podcast because he's stressing some fantasy football out. We've got it all tonight.
AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs could make my year. Just keep that in mind.
I'm close to having a 5-0 weekend for fantasy. That's big. It helped me feel a lot better about this weekend as opposed to what happened from the Slate show, which we'll get into Thursday. But yeah,
Win some, you lose some. That's how it goes.
yeah, Mister No more on COVID, but that's for a different show.
Speaking of winning some, the ACC, which we ridiculed for losing dumb out of conference games or road games, they've got 7 3-0 teams, including Jordan Travis, who's hopefully going to heal up and be able to come back from Florida State, Syracuse, and Duke among the 7.
Yeah, the two surprising ones are obviously Syracuse and Duke.
Right.
I mean, Duke went out to Northwestern and handled them pretty well. So the Blue Devils are fighting this year. I mean, it's good to see some of these other programs stepping up to the task and winning ball games. I know it's going to be a dogfight once conference play opens up, but it's good to see this early on.
Right. I mean, Duke has the 3-0 Kansas this week, so I mean,
yeah,
I know game day's not there, but I mean that's big for those two spots. Lance Leipold's got something special, and I mean,
yeah. Talk about a team that looks good too. You mentioned it. Kansas is I think they're leading the country in points per game, or they were before this weekend.
I believe it. They put up a big number on Houston on the road.
They made it to where two players were fighting on the side of the bench.
Yeah, Houston had some fisticuffs on the sideline between teammates, so some friendly fire there, and a frustrating loss for them, I'm sure. I think it was 38-20, I believe was the final there. So
yeah, good start for Raw Chalk Jayhawk. A lot of these blue blood basketball teams are off to a good start, except for UCLA, but we won't get to them. We forget they exist anyway.
Yeah, Duke, North Carolina, and ACC country, just to name two. Obviously, we said Kansas, Kentucky as well. Big one over Florida. They're 3-0 as well. So, yeah, you might think you're looking at basketball standings, but it is, in fact, football season.
Until you see Clemson and then realize, oh, wait, we're terrible at basketball. We're only a football school, so that's where everything comes back to earth.
Yeah, and speaking of maybe coming back to earth, we do head to number 21 Wake Forest this week in a game that I'm terrified about because I've seen 3 Clemson football games, and it's been 3 wins, but
it's been 3 different wins each week.
About any of them, I don't know.
Yeah.
If this game was in Clemson, I would be a 1 out of 10 nervous, but I'm about like a 5 or a 6 right now, just because
I think what helps is that it's a noon game. I mean, Wake Forest hasn't looked insanely good like they were last year, because that was obviously the best Wake Forest team in years, and we had the worst Clemson team in years, and we still.
Right.
But slightly different when you go to a team. I think we opened up as a 7.5 point spread, 7.5 point favorite, something like that.
Which surprised me, to be honest.
Yeah.
The way Hartman's been slinging it, yeah, that surprised me. But I think it just speaks to the reputation we've had as a program, especially in the ACC Atlantic lately. I know last year, first year in over half decade, we didn't come out of the Atlantic. But I mean, yeah, when you're down years 10-3, there's a lot to be had with expectations, and I think that DJ in particular, if he goes out and wins this game, we've seen him win games on the road. I mean, we all remember that game in South Bend against Notre Dame in 2020. So we might not get that performance out of him Saturday, but I don't think we'll need him to be at that level. I think if we just limit turnovers, keep the ball moving, get Shipley involved early and often, Antonio Williams as well, we'll score enough to keep up with Hartman. Obviously, we got one of the best defenses in the country. Hopefully, get some good guys back, and Tyler Davis. A couple other guys missing as well, whose names escape me at the moment. But
Makuba was hurt. Wiggins, Brice was obviously out with his the death of his sister, which we send condolences to. Right, you hate to see a guy go through that, but he'll be back and he'll be fired up and ready to go.
Yeah, home with family as he should be for as long as he needs to. Everything else takes a backseat, obviously. So when he's ready, he'll be back in Tiger Town and resume his incredible career at Clemson. And just pitch it on this defense that, like I said, is going to be able to help us out a lot if the offense is stalling. But you don't want to do that on the road and get caught up in one of these coin flip thrillers that we've seen all across the country so far. Some bigger name teams falling, Notre Dame, A&M, teams like that. So, and it's it's not our conference opener, but I will say I just don't think Jeff Collins had the traction at Georgia Tech to really be a serious threat to us yet. Thank God the triple option is not there anymore. That was hell to play every year. So
Yeah.
Yeah, this Wake team. I mean, you want to talk about having a calendar date circled. I think them and NC State both understand if they want to have any kind of foothold in the ACC long term, they've got to win the Atlantic, and that means taking it from Clemson. So we do get NC State at home, thank goodness, this year. But yeah, these are two games we got to have, and the first one is on the road Saturday.
Yeah, and touching on a little bit more with the offense, which we need to obviously play well this weekend. Goes to show you what happens when you give Will Shipley the ball. I mean, he had 12 carries for 139 yards. That's an 11.6 clip, 2 touchdowns. Get your ball in your playmakers' hands. And DJ didn't look god awful.
No, he really didn't.
And he's not getting a lot of help from his receivers either, except for guys like Antonio Williams, like you mentioned, Randall. They're all guys, freshmen that are stepping up to the plate and taking full advantage of what they're given. It seems like he's already one of DJ's favorite targets outside of Bo Collins. So, I mean, if you get production from your wide receivers and get some sort of help from your offensive line, he can be a good quarterback.
Absolutely.
Which, I mean, that's a recipe for pretty much every quarterback, but that's what
that's
currently.
Yeah, and a lot of those factors played into that performance in South Bend that we all remember, especially people, outside the fan base that just, as an observer, looked at us going to South Bend and watched him play in place of Trevor with COVID and just saw that incredible performance, the most passing yards, I'm pretty sure, still ever in that stadium from a true freshman in emergency duty. So, I mean, yeah, you mentioned the offense getting rolling with Shipley a little bit. They scored 124 points through these first 3 games. Now, I mean, I realize that was against Georgia Tech, Furman, Louisiana Tech. But, I mean, last year they played Georgia Tech, South Carolina State, and UConn, and they had...
Georgia, not Georgia Tech.
Excuse me, Georgia. They had 66 points to this point through 3 games last season. So, I mean, and again, 2020, a little more explosive on offense, 127 points to this point. So, not the same offense, not the same team, but as far as, the need for more points, we're pretty well paced as far as you want to go back a couple years historically.
And we got the defense to play too, so they're going to figure things out. It doesn't help, like you mentioned, 5 guys out. Obviously, there's not much depth in the secondary. We're not worried about the front 7 at all, because you can, with Brice out and Tyler Davis, we prove we can plug and play with those guys up front.
Yeah, just off topic real quick. Bills pick 6. I'm facing the defense. That's gonna end that.
Let's go. Oh! I needed that. That might sell me a 5-0 week. Shout out Ben O'Kane. We mentioned Georgia last year, but this year I think they look better than last year. Yeah, I think so.
I'll give Brandon Walker credit for this over Barstool. He mentioned that Stetson Bennett will be in New York without having to make a meaningful throw all year.
Yeah.
Because he's just, I mean, all he had to do was
effortlessly
not turn the ball over last year. And he was, at times, with JT Daniels still there, maybe not fully gluing with that team, that roster, that offense. But now, I mean, he put 40-something, 42 himself on Oregon that we just saw win a home game against a ranked BYU. And they go into South Carolina, a place they've lost at recently, and they beat them so bad there was 3 students in the stands that started the third quarter. So, I mean, this Georgia team.
Yeah.
I
figured it was going to be a blowout this weekend, but I didn't think it was going to be an onslaught that bad, that fast.
For them to be lifeless for 4 quarters. I mean, Rattler had a big play down the sideline, next play pick, and the game ended right there. I mean, that was it.
People are turning on Rattler. I mean, a lot of South Carolina fans are starting to see what people at Oklahoma saw. Like,
yeah, I think it is early, but I mean,
yeah,
Caleb Williams was a really talented guy. We've seen that at Oklahoma when he took the starting job from him, and now we see it at Southern Cal, where they blow out a team that's a supposed trap game back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, they look good. That's gonna be a dangerous team.
Yeah, we did see Jake Kaner carted off for Fresno State, unfortunately. I will give him credit. It was 21-10 at halftime, so they were very much in that game. But
Yeah.
yeah, tough to see that for Haener. He's a really good quarterback and an underrated Fresno State team that, again, to their credit, hung in with Southern Cal for a half, but losing him as a leader on and off the field, and then of course his talent, they weren't able to overcome it, and it was not a game from that point on. So
Yeah.
that score doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, I mean, like we touched on it, but it's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, a significant step between those two, and then the rest of the field. Like it's wild how much they're so far ahead of everybody.
I mean, yeah, usually it's not weird because it's Alabama a lot of years. I mean, I know that was a sentiment when we beat them in the Natty by 28 points, but I mean that year they were wire to wire, I think, in the polls, number one.
Yeah.
It was seen as like who can stay within 14 points of them, not who can beat them. And of course, true freshman Trevor Lawrence and 20 NFL guys went out there and did it. But I think it's only weird now because it's not Alabama. It's a team from the very same conference. That I mean, we should get another epic game out of those two in December.
Yeah,
but
they're on a path to meet each other.
Oh, I mean, if they don't meet an SEC championship game, go ahead and call this 2007 Part 2 because that's the most signed, sealed, delivered conference championship matchup I think out there by a lot.
The way that things are playing out, at least I see on the west side that someone might slip up again with like Texas A&M or something. But like with that, it's going to take someone else to go pretty much wire to wire with one loss.
Right, because they're not going to lose twice.
No. So it's still more likely set up for a rematch of Georgia Alabama.
Right, and we saw them struggle on the road last year, but they won those games. They beat Auburn. I don't know the schedule off the top of my head, but I mean they were in dogfights in conference play on the road, true road games, and they came out of
each of them.
One of them.
Yeah.
Right, and then we saw this year, obviously, at Texas, non-conference. They don't do it. We kind of saw why. They're a little bit vulnerable. Even with Hudson Card and Preston to duty for, I'll call it 3 quarters. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd seeing Bama just not as invincible.
Yeah, and weird that Georgia they reloaded, and if not reloaded, better.
And then to come back open with a statement like they did against a Bo Nix-led team that we saw just this past Saturday is not dead in the water. They're no slouch out in the Pac-12 now. Yeah. With that win over BYU.
Yeah, I know you wrote a blog about the overreaction of the AP poll, dropping Oregon down to 25. I don't think they're a bad team. Like we said, I think Georgia is so far ahead of everybody that they made Oregon look like an FCS team.
Right. I mean, how many teams we've seen struggle in true road games, and Georgia went out and they won by 49 to, I think they scored with a minute left. 7. So
that was the first touchdown that a team scored on all year. Like Oregon didn't even score on it.
Right. No,
and they've hung 70 and 30, 40 the past 2 games.
Yeah, they shot out Stanford last week as well. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams that I don't think are terrible. They played
one team,
yeah. So just another wild weekend. I mean, no crazy upsets. Arkansas.
That was the closest we got.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In top 10. Shout out to Bobby Paterno.
Yeah. Yeah, almost rode off in the sunset in a motorcycle, but unfortunately, Missouri State up 10 points, 17 points several times during that game. Arkansas ultimately, with the 21-3 fourth quarter, did escape 38-27. That's another one you look at the final score, and that doesn't tell you nearly how much of a fight that game was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, some of these smaller group of 5 teams, they're putting up fights. I mean, like we saw all last week with the Sun Belt, they're putting up fights. So
Old Dominion almost did it again.
Yeah, and the Sun Belt's a fun belt. I mean,
well, it might be the Stun Belt the way they keep doing this stuff.
Stun gun.
It's fun if you're not playing them because from an outside perspective, I mean, our guy Chase Brice obviously is doing some big things up in App State, but I mean, are they gonna be able to find games? Because who in the world is putting them on the schedule?
Yeah,
if it is in 2036.
Well,
why would you do that?
The past couple 5-6 years, they've already been upsetting teams. I mean, Coastal Carolina with BYU a couple years ago, Georgia State with Tennessee. They got upsets.
Yeah,
and they play teams close. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Old Dominion is scheduled to get Virginia Tech in their place 4 more times.
Yeah. That.
And you got to think that's getting cut down.
Yeah. And ODU took it to Virginia Tech this weekend. Like it was a close game.
Virginia, yeah, they
Or Virginia.
kicked a
Yeah, it
field
was
goal
Virginia.
for the lead with a minute left, and unfortunately, Virginia marched down the field and scored to win it late. Shout out to Tony Elliott, but I mean, yeah, that close again, skin of the teeth stuff. I mean, that Virginia fan base will never forget about that game. I guarantee you that.
Oh. And I bet, I mean, with them always following Virginia Tech closely, being rivals, they knew what they were getting into with ODU. So.
Oh yeah, I think it was a 8-point spreads. I mean, even Vegas was like, all right, this is not a cupcake game, a check game, none of that.
Yeah.
This is serious.
Yeah. Teams are going to start respecting the group of 5 more.
Oh,
because last year you had Cincinnati make a run, and then what Sunbelt's doing.
Yeah.
Who knows about what's going on in the Midwest with some of those teams, but a slight difference once you get on this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned the Sun Belt. I mean, they had game day. They had the game of the day of the weekend. App State beating a conference opponent in Troy that they've, last year was a 10-7 game at halftime, and they kind of ran away with it second half. But, I mean, that game was 4 quarters of a war.
Conference games are always, they got something to them.
Yeah, I mean, in the East and the Sun Belt alone, you have Georgia Southern who beat Nebraska, Marshall who beat Notre Dame, and A&M who went to College Station, App that went to College Station last week and won in the same weekend, in the same 3 hours.
Yeah.
We saw 3 teams from that 6-team division, I think, beat 2 top 10 teams and get a Nebraska coach fired.
Yeah, it's wild times, and do we want to tell them? Do we want to let them know what we got hidden up our sleeves?
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah, so we got the mastermind behind some of these upsets. We were able to get Chase Brice, so we're probably going to plug in that interview right now. So we talk all about the Sun Belt and what they have done in the past couple weeks, get into some NIL stuff, and then like just the path that Chase has had too. So it's a great interview. I think y'all will enjoy it. So without further ado, we'll get you to our first true guest that's outside of the 1009 house. So give it a listen. We'll see you on the flip side. Welcome to the interview portion of this podcast. We got the starting quarterback for America's team, Chase Brice. How's it going, buddy?
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Yep, coming off of 2 big wins. I mean, crazy.
Game day in Boone, too. Couldn't quite get the game on ESPN, but that'll come, I'm sure, pretty soon, the way you guys keep finishing these games up. How was the atmosphere in Boone just this week with game day in town? I know people are camped out 6, 7 in the morning on Friday even to try and get in on that. So, yeah, how was the atmosphere in Boone this week coming into
the atmosphere, as y'all could imagine, was absolutely electric. It was so fun seeing the students and just like the town of Boone really excited for college game day and just what that does to Boone and like App State. I mean, we were already, on the map, but, it just magnifies it even more. So obviously we were excited, but, we knew there was a job to be done, and it was a battle. The game was an absolute battle. It came down to the last 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen the videos and the highlights, and like to cap it off like that with college game day. I mean, it's pretty cool.
I mean, might as well get into that. I know I was going crazy, but what were you thinking when Troy got the safety and then squibbed it from like the 20-yard line? A lot of people were questioning that.
Yeah, I didn't. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not an analytics guy, and I'm not a head coach. And I've seen that before.
I've seen the safety just a squib.
I've seen the safety, and I understand what they were trying to do. But obviously, they had a plan. They wanted to waste enough time. Didn't want they didn't want anything to happen backed up in their own territory. So, squibbing it, it gave us pretty good field position to start, but it did knock off a good amount of seconds. They tried to hold us up, and, that was good on their part. And they played really good defense for 3 plays, really 4 plays, honestly. I mean, you get a Hail Mary from from our own 44-yard line. or something crazy like that, and just get a shot to throw it up. I mean, they played the sidelines well. They had a plan, and I mean,
Yeah.
it just comes down to where does that ball end up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just a back and forth match. Sunbelt is really blown up,
That's why I
and
call it the Fun Belt.
yeah, and I mean, it's super competitive. Everybody is aware of each other, and I think that's the great thing about the Sun Belt. You know, the Power Five, a lot of those Power Five teams don't get to play Sun Belt a lot. When they do, it's so different.
Yeah.
But the Sun Belt is so similar with offenses and defenses that we all, and a lot of coaches come from the same tree. So it's just like everybody's kind of got each other's number. So you got to be creative in ways to try to win. So, thankfully we found a way.
Just to give people an idea about this conference he's talking about, in App State's division alone, teams from that side of the conference went out. Obviously, Chase and App State went to College Station, beat A&M. But teams in that division also beat Notre Dame and Nebraska in the same day from the same half of this conference. So, I mean, the conference as a whole is giant killers, but it's really, I mean, the half that App State matches up with directly getting into conference play here. I mean, they went out and got Nebraska's coach fired, essentially. I mean, these are teams that some of these Power 5 schools may not recognize as Sun Belt teams. Have never heard of the Sun Belt, and their teams get into these battles and they lose them, or it's a battle for 4 quarters, and you never really underestimate them like that again. So that's a really good point about the conference as a whole. And obviously, a big opening win in conference play for you guys, coming off a 10-win season. So
yeah,
that was
really
cool to see.
The Sun Belt East is a monster for sure.
Yeah. Was that one of the worst spirals you ever thrown?
Absolutely.
I saw that video and I'm like, that from that guy that had the end zone.
Yeah.
I was looking at it, I'm like, whoa, that's a duck.
Oh, no doubt. The thing is, like, y'all see me throw, like, I can make it to the end zone. However, I threw it, and going through my mind, I'm just like, don't overthrow whatever you do. Make sure there's air on it. Wait till your guys so they can get down there. Because I had the same receivers on the field that had just ran 3 plays in a row of verticals and outs, and like they were tired. Snapped the ball with 2 seconds on the play clock, and I'm just thinking in my mind, okay, I can't roll to the right. I got to find a way. Just got to get the ball off. Give our guys a chance. And there's a picture of me throwing, and the ball is literally this high, like out of my hand. It's almost parallel to the sky. So it goes super high, and it just kind of dies down. But yeah, I probably put, I don't know, it was like a good 7-8 seconds it was in the air. Like I put
it was in the thing forever.
That's like a good punter tank time.
Yeah, it was. It was actually like, when I threw it, I was like, okay, that came out bad. But I was like, it's gonna get somewhere, like it's gonna get close.
Right.
So it went like the 4-yard line, and luckily my guys didn't overrun it. Like they were kind of in the same area, so it all worked out.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing was just you got to give them a chance, and if you throw it out of the end zone, you lose. And yeah, that was it. So
yeah, I mean, you threw it so high. You threw it so high that the camera literally had to pan up just to find the ball, and then it just came down like a missile.
It was that golf broadcast, honestly. They're looking for the ball, and thankfully, you had 3 guys down there, like you mentioned. But the block by Robinson, once Horn did get hold of it, that too led him to, I won't say walk in the end zone, but there was a guy there to make that play short of the end zone, and he was blocked perfectly.
Yeah, I mean,
go in that right sideline.
When you obviously draw it up like it happened, but the goal of that is to get the ball at least 4 yards deep in the end zone, and you have basically a jump ball type of play. We have our tallest guy on the field, Dalton Stroman, great hands, great athlete, and can jump. And if he can catch it, he's going to catch it. However, he knew he was short, so there was no point. And Christian Horn is the rat player that is ready for the tips. He's ready for the front tips, and then Michael Hetzel on number 12, he's ready for the back tips. And Caden was in the perfect spot after the tip to make a block, which was, which sealed it, for him to run in the end zone, like you said.
You had some good protection too, to allow you to get the ball off too. You had to run around a little bit.
Yeah, that D line was wreaking havoc all night. They were hitting me, talking smack to me. They were in my grill, 9, 52, 5, 41, number 3, all those guys. And so great athletes, and they knew how to get to the passer. They knew how to get to me. And like I said, I found grass to the left more than I did the right. So that's why I went to the left.
Was it easier to throw off that side, or would it have been easier to go? Because you're kind of throwing.
I pitched in pretty good. Like, I could have maybe took another second, but if you watch the video, my lineman Bucky Williams is like running. I don't know if he thinks I'm about to take off and run, but he's like right behind me.
So you wait one more second. He's 3 yards down the field.
Yeah, if I would have waited another second, I also was like right behind the line of scrimmage, so I was like in the perfect spot to let it go.
Yeah, that'd have been something. You complete that, but then you get called back for illegal man downfield.
Oh,
yeah, no.
How depressing, dude.
That would have been bad.
You going back to the week leading up real quick. I don't know if this is true or not. I really hope it is. But did you guys have mouse traps all over the facility this week? Just letting you know that there's a lot of noise, Boone's buzzing, but this is still a conference game, a team that you can't take lightly. They're going to walk in here and give you everything, which they did. And they said, don't take the cheese was a big point they were driving home this week.
Yeah, it was definitely don't take the cheese. I referred back to back when Nick Saban was referring things to rat poison.
Yeah.
He didn't want to hear it. Mac Jones did the same thing. Those leading questions leading up to a game like this. You got college game day. You got a lot of hype around it. You wanted to stay focused, and we were. I'll be honest, like, we were a very focused team. It probably took another day to like get our bodies back from A&M because of the plane malfunction, but other than that, like, we were excited. Last year we went into halftime with Troy, I think 10-7. Like, we knew what we were getting into, and we knew the program they have and the new head coach, and he was going to bring something different to the table for this team. And it's hard to win. It's hard to win college football games, like, period. Doesn't matter who you are. So it was a battle.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Marshall, speaking of giant killers in this conference, losing overtime on the road this weekend. So, I mean, that emotional high coming off a huge win. They went out and beat Notre Dame a week ago. And, they go into a hostile environment, unfamiliar territory, and then end up dropping a game. So, I mean, it's like you said, any given Saturday almost. It doesn't matter who you are, what your team looks like, what you did last week. Especially a game like Troy. They're a conference team. They know you guys really well. I mean,
yeah,
they're going to give you everything, no matter where it is on the schedule. But, I mean, coming off the weekend you guys did last week, I'm sure that only just increased the target on y'all's back from their perspective.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. How's it feel going 2-0 in College Station?
Yeah, I took that picture with Scott. I'm sure y'all saw it. It's I need to get that one framed for sure. But
100%. Oh yeah.
But I didn't think about it until like it hit me, and I'm like, I've been in this locker room before. KB, Trev, the whole crew, like, we came in here, and that was an awesome game.
Yeah.
And it was a night game, so it was even louder. And I was like, Scott, smile. Hey, 2-0 at Kyle Field. So it was pretty cool.
That game feels like it was 10 years ago when we were out there.
Yeah. No doubt. I'm way past my time, man.
Yeah, I heard who are you on with? Greg McElroy, and y'all talking about you're a grandpa now or something?
Yeah, everybody sees me in the training room because I'm getting needles and cuffs and massages, and they're rolling me out, like, and they're just like, dang, Chase, man, like you're old. Like, you're old, dude.
Your knees and ankles pop when you walk around.
I'm popping. I can't run as fast anymore. My knees hurt. Like, it's crazy.
Run fast?
Yeah, dude. Come on now.
That's fast.
I used to. I get loose out there.
just don't let you in the open field.
Fast enough, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get going, you can't stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Something that Jimbo Fisher mentioned the week leading up to that matchup last weekend was just the experience you guys have in that locker room. A lot of fourth year, fifth year, sixth year guys like yourself coming together into one locker room. I mean, especially in smaller programs like that's going to really lead you to some special things. And he was mentioning that A&M team did not have that kind of experience, that kind of camaraderie. You know, guys maybe have been a couple different places and coming together for one last ride, or got 1 or 2 years left. How does that help you guys in the locker room? With games on the schedule that everybody looks at, like A&M, or a game like Troy, where maybe the game day is not there, doesn't get much attention, but it's still a conference game. How does it help you guys?
Yeah, it's big to have a mature, or have guys that are mature and have played a lot of ball to help the guys that haven't played, because we do have those guys as well that are having to step up. And that A&M team is ridiculously talented. Next year that D-line is going to be crazy good. Big, fast, strong. Their linebackers are good. Their safeties are good. They're just a little bit young. Like they were talking to me like, hey, Seven, you could be my daddy. Like, I'm like,
I don't know how I would respond to that.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, what do you mean? Like, are you 18? Like, I mean, but that's kind of like the gap. When you've played a lot of ball, like me and Cam Peoples and Coop Hodges and Andy Hardy, a lot of my guys up front, when you've seen a lot of ball and been around a lot of people, from 2017 to now, you develop that experience, and it kind of evens out the playing field as far as talent. And then, okay, I've experienced it. I know what to do here. I'm playing faster than what my talent allows me to, if you know what I mean. Like, recognizing defense and just leverage and fundamentals. So, it's definitely helping us in the locker room and, moving forward.
Yeah. And we know with you being at Clemson, you've been on winning teams that have those just veterans that know how to handle a locker room, handle games. I'm assuming that plays into this like, way over the top of some other aspects of the game.
Yeah. And especially being like a backup for all those years, getting to witness Kelly, Trevor, being around Cleveland Farrell and Christian Wilkins, and, even going in with T, just seeing that maturity in Travis and guys like that, Trayvon Mullen, like Tanner Muse. I can name a whole list of guys that I got to like, that they waited their time and I got to see how they work and prepare. And now I feel I'm like in that same position of where they were, 3-4 years ago. I'm now trying to be that role model, that old head that is just doing things right, because I've seen it done right and got the formula for success. And obviously battling adversity and, transferring twice is my third school. Like, a lot of that, develops tough skin and, makes you a little wiser in the end.
Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just had to find your home.
Yeah, exactly. Another home. Yeah.
Because Appalachian is a state. I'm assuming you saw that video of the.
Oh, I did.
The yell leader.
Yeah.
It was like, what is going on, guys? Like, y'all can't be this.
Yeah. They got like groupies that follow them around. I've heard like they got fans for the yell leaders. Like
there's like a whole like subculture behind it. It's
crazy.
Yeah. And they were not happy. Like Texas A&M, I think the school was not happy with some of those
jokes. They were yanking every video down.
Honestly, I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's harmless stuff.
Because it wasn't like personal, and like I'm not from here in like the mountains.
Right.
But I could understand, people growing up here in Boone, or having strong ties to the program in the city or the town. The whole hillbilly stuff. Like, I know he's just trying to, clown App State. but he's not.
Yeah.
That guy's not playing, right? He's
Yeah.
not on the field. He's speaking a little out of context for, putting words in the mouths of, their football team, and expecting to win. So,
yeah.
It was I guess you could say it was unfortunate. I know he caught a lot of flack for it, but
I mean,
at the end, we just thought it was kind of goofy,
yeah.
honestly.
Right.
Well, and you're used to some of those like hostile environments, I guess. And you've played games in South Carolina, Florida State,
Yeah.
like they have no filters. I mean, I'm living like 10 miles from the school, so I deal with it all the time. And I mean, you build a thicker skin with some of those things when you hear it every year and stuff like that.
You just learn to laugh at it now.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I mean, you're just talking like crazy because y'all, you haven't done it. You're and you work for Clemson, like, Clemson, like, y'all are just talking now. Like, y'all are just trying to find a way to get under my skin. So
yeah,
we the first game me and Bailey ever traveled to at Clemson was at Louisville, and we were all too familiar with a guy there in full body paint and a painted on bird beak that screamed at us for 4 hours.
He told me to sniff y'all's jock strap. I'm like,
yeah,
that's not my job.
He was there more to yell at us. I don't know if he actually watched a single play. This dude's soul just
he paints up every
that
game.
all night. Yeah,
dude, that's hilarious.
Paint. Yeah, some of the things I get told stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm just handing out water. Like, come on now. Like, I have no. Me being out here does not affect the game at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, Louisiana, like Lafayette, hostile. Like,
I bet. Absolutely. You guys saw him twice last year too. So I mean, it's yeah.
Are you happy that Napier's not out there anymore?
Who? No, Napier. Oh, I mean, they had a great team. Like, that was.
Yeah. He's a good coach.
That second game we had, that Sunbelt Championship was a dogfight.
Oh, absolutely.
They made a couple more plays than we did, but he's had that program rolling, just like App has been rolling the past 5 years. So, happy for him to get this job. He recruited me a little bit when I was coming out, so I knew about him, and I think it's cool. Travis's brother is now running back there.
Right. Run the same way too.
Small world, like it. You get to meet all these people.
He actually, Billy was a offensive coordinator for Clemson in like early 2010s, so it's a full circle with him.
Right.
I think that speaks to the Sun Belt as a conference almost. I mean, the showing that you guys put on that championship game was just awesome to watch. And then you see a coach in that game go to a place like Florida and have success. I mean, they opened with a win against Utah, who was number 7. So, I mean, that's if you need another indicator of the Sun Belt pointing in the right direction, I mean, that right there, you can go to that right away. One thing about just, App State, Boone in general, you followed a guy, Zach Thomas, was there 4 years, started 3. How's the reception been in Boone, with the community outside the locker room and the people there? But it's a big football town. How's that been like?
Yeah. Last year I got to talk to Zach a few times. He wasn't really around as much because he just got a new job and things like that. But he came to a couple home games. But this year with Jacob Huseman and a lot of those other guys, Thomas being gone, he's been around a little bit more. He was at A&M. He was at the game Saturday. So it's been great seeing him and getting to talk to him, chop it up, because he had a great career here. What an outstanding quarterback and athlete. He could spin it, could run. And so we've got to be pretty close, actually, probably over the last year. And, a lot of people ask me, like, following into, like, his success. My goal was just to continue that, obviously. He had a great career here and left a great legacy. And, the objective is to win championships up here. It's to win the East, or, win the East and win the Sun Belt and win your bowl game, win the closer. So, that was my goal leading into it. I didn't want to try to be like him because I can't run like him at all. Like, and he had been in this offense for
I thought you were fast.
Yeah, I mean, I can scoot around a little bit, but he had been in the offense and learned under Taylor Lamb, and that's why I've got a lot of confidence coming into this year, just building off of last year and what I did. And with our new OC, we're really getting rolling.
You mentioned winning the closer. That was a tough bowl game going up against Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
That dude can fling it.
Yeah, they were explosive.
Yeah. You set records though, so
I tried to match him every drive. I'm like, this guy, man, he's putting it on the money. And our offense last year was a lot more conservative. We were ground and pound, and we take shots, and we weren't. Last year we just weren't designed to be in a shootout, to be honest with you. And that's what we got into. We got into a shootout real fast, and came up short by several points. But it was still fun to be down there in Boca.
Yeah, y'all figured out that shootout thing against North Carolina this year.
Yeah, we figured out we're gonna have to I think that's the beauty about our offense is we can slow it down, and then we can go quick tempo, 10 personnel, spread them out, dink and dump, and then take our shots. We've got a lot of weapons.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 40 points in the last 12 minutes of that game. That's just, you might not see that again all year. That's just incredible. I mean, I know there's a lot of chaos in the middle of that. And I mean, what are you thinking when they take the onside back? You're like, oh, I'm getting the ball back off a kick. I mean, just what was that like? I know another insane just couple of plays, while you're waiting on the sideline to get the ball back. I mean, what were you thinking when they took the onside back and you got to go out and get 8 again?
I didn't know what to think, to be honest. I didn't know where that put us. As far as the score, I had to really somebody told me dude, he scored, we still have a shot. And I'm like, really? Right. What is there, 20 seconds left?
Yeah.
For us to take and plus we got a penalty.
Right. They went headhunting.
Pushed them back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we're gonna get pretty healthy field position here. I think we had a couple timeouts, so we can push it if we can find a way. And so we found a way, and then we just, missing the 2 in a row really hurt. Golly, I'm not going to ever forget it, to be honest, but I've moved on from it. In the moment, it just sucks, but for us to battle like that in an opening game, they played the week before, so that was our first game. Work out some kinks and look at where we can get better at was all we could do from there.
Yeah, we created our own I can't say
statistic.
it. Yeah, we created our own. Ugly wins. We created pretty losses, and we'll chalk that up as a pretty loss.
Pretty loss.
Yeah, we gave Texas one against Alabama, and they ranked them. So it's the new move. Pretty losses. I couldn't spit it out. It was just not there. What kind of expectations you got for the rest of the season?
1-0 each week. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it's how you have to think. We're playing a really talented JMU team this Saturday who has had tremendous success at the FCS level. I'm surprised that they're just now leaving that level. They've been dominant. And they have a great fan base. I kind of view them as a lot like App State, just people up there love football. They've been successful, and they're hungry. I got to meet a couple of their players at the Sunbelt Media Day, and I enjoyed them. They're great dudes, hilarious. I think one was a running back and one was a linebacker, or a DN, but just real genuine, down to earth guys. And I know that head coach does a great job preparing his team, and it's gonna be a battle, and then not looking past anybody, but like I said, 1-0, and that's all we can really focus on.
That's the only way you can look at it.
That's it. If I start looking past somebody, I've already lost. So
that's what a lot of people were saying with Texas A&M, because Miami was coming in ranked. That was supposed to be a top 10, top 15 matchup, but you got to win every week.
There, and you guys stole it from them.
Yeah,
they had it all mapped out.
I watched that game too. Buddies with Max Johnson, and he got the start. And and Miami's super talented. I mean, Frank went there, and my old OC and quarterback coach, Coach Ponce, is down there at Miami. And I watched that game. It was, I mean, when you have two teams like that are uber talented, but also like young as well, you know, it's a low scoring game, but mistakes are going to happen. But it was fun to watch. They're super talented.
Yeah, I think Miami's number one wide receiver was out too, so that hurts a little bit. But Tyler Van Dyke's a stud too.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback for sure.
ACC's got some quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, he can sling it. Yeah, I mean, Malik Cunningham, Van Dyke, DJ, Sam Hartman, Drake May.
He can,
Jordan Travis, hopefully he gets back healthy.
Lefty from Virginia.
Armstrong.
Brandon Armstrong, yeah.
There's quarterbacks everywhere.
I think Schrader is killing it up at Syracuse.
Oh, yeah, Syracuse.
They're
3-0 now, too, yeah.
So, and
Duke's
then
3-0.
Duke, Riley, Leonard, so.
Yeah, another 3-0 team.
ACC's pretty loaded with quarterbacks.
Surprising, but people are still going to dog them.
Yeah, I mean, ACC, they don't, for some reason, doesn't get a lot of respect.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know. Sometimes there's down years, sometimes there's really strong.
Every conference has that. I mean,
the NIL has changed, though. Like, transferring in NIL has definitely changed conferences and the players you get versus what it used to be, for sure.
How much has that changed for you? I know you said we've seen you enter the portal a couple times, but how much has the NIL changed? Like the way you look at football and all that.
For me, I was approached early on in NIL, but being an older guy, the value. I'm not a selfish guy, and I'm not going somewhere for the money, and I'm not playing for the money and stuff like that. Like, I just felt like the value. The time I'm taking away from preparing for a game isn't enough to, if I was a freshman or sophomore where I had 2-3 more years left where I could develop like more knowledge about, you know, NIL and financial literacy and things like that. But I'm also in a place that, like, it's not a huge market like some other places. And so I like the local spots, Clean Eats. I'm with B1 Patch. I just took my patch off, but
I saw you post that the other day
on your social. Yeah,
it's a vitamin patch. It's thiamine. It's B1, so it helps with stamina, keeping that energy like throughout a game. I wore them all during fall camp, and I felt a complete difference in my body and like just my focus level. I was alert and I wasn't as tired. And it also helps with recovery and concussion. So definitely shouting them out because they've been a huge help in my preparation. And then we just got the 3333 LLC, which is a group up here that is going to teach us financial literacy, how to handle money, you know, because I think we got some guys on the team that are going to make a lot of money in the next year or two. So that'll be awesome. And then I think that's really Boa Blast hydration. So I've got a couple, none where I'm just like solely for the money or getting a lot of money. Like, I enjoy the product and I use the product that helps me.
Yeah, they actually benefit you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I think like NIL should be in a way. I mean, I'm not going to sign with Maserati or Lamborghini.
Bojangles.
Yeah. I mean, that'll be cool, but like, how much Bojangles can I eat? You know?
Yeah. Now, if I was playing at Chick-fil-A approached me, I would take it in a heartbeat.
Right, for sure.
There's exceptions, yeah.
Yeah, and if they want to, if we want to get some patches, you know, send them our way. We'll be glad to.
Oh, you want some patches?
I mean, if they want to sponsor us too,
Dude,
we're open to people.
Wide
I'll
open.
take
Oh,
some
yeah.
patches.
I'll get some patches. I got a code too, CB7. You just type it in, get you a little discount. You'll feel
I'm up
better.
at 5.
That'll work.
I'm up at 5 a.m. every day. I need it sometimes.
You can smell the vitamin too. Like I even got like the spot on my arm where it goes. You just put it on a hairless spot.
And my whole body's hairless, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, between you putting it on that spot and avoiding your turf burn on the other side.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah, show that off.
that ain't pretty, dude. It was bleeding. Like, you can see it in the video too. It's fresh blood.
I remember when we were out in Dallas before practice, throwing the ball around, and I dove in the end zone. I left some skin in Dallas. Like my whole side was just cut up.
In Jerry's world?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That Notre Dame year, yeah.
Oh man, what a game! Yeah. That was awesome.
Had the salvation bucket. I jumped in there. I felt like Zeke. Like,
this is
what it's like. Yeah. They looked good yesterday. Surprisingly.
Yeah, good win. I picked the Bengals though. I was on a radio show and I did the NFL pick'em, and I think I went, dude, I was so close. Like all my upsets almost hit.
Steelers.
I think I was like 7-5 or 6-6. But yeah, I was kind of bummed.
That's been crazy so far this year. So batting 500 with that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's just, college football and NFL, like no one knows who's gonna win. We've said any given week anybody can win. I was just glad that y'all got that safety. I had the over in y'all's game, so it hit then. I was sweating.
Oh yeah.
I was sweating some of that.
What was it like?
52. 52, and it was sitting right on 52, and then the safety. I'm like, sweet, now go win the game.
Crazy. That's crazy.
That's
crazy. Oh man.
Got anything else, Grayson?
I think that's all I got. Good luck the rest of the season getting into Sun Belt play, and obviously, you guys are building off a 10-win season, and go out, win the East, and win the conference, and then see what bowl season brings.
Yeah, man, it's flying. It's flying by.
I'm gonna get some App State gear. I'm gonna go look online here soon.
Dude, hey, get you a Breezy jersey now. Come on now.
I'll support the boy. I'll support the boy. I'll rock it around. Wear it around Columbia. See how many death threats I get.
That'd be awesome.
Yep. We appreciate it.
I appreciate having me on. I enjoyed it. This was fun.
Yeah, we'll try and get you on later on in the season too, possibly. So.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
All right.
If y'all need any other guys, let me know.
Of course. Appreciate it. So yeah, that was the Chase Brice of the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Great interview.
Those SEC beating hillbillies, they are not to be messed with. Great 25-30 minutes with Chase, obviously. We got to know him with our time at Clemson when he was there as well, and he's got to App State via Duke, and his second year there is looking even better than the first. And like Clemson last year, that was a 10-win program, so they are looking very, very promising. Open with the conference winning against Troy, like we mentioned, and they've got their conference slate ahead of them, and hopefully they'll be back playing for the Sun Belt title, and then we'll see how they do in bowl season.
We expect them to go undefeated for the rest of the season, and Chase to win a Heisman. So.
Oh, he'll be in New York. Come on.
Yeah. And a friendly reminder that Appalachian is a state. So, shout out to Texas A&M. But yeah, great interview, great guy. We'll keep trying to get you some more interviews. I think y'all will enjoy those.
The first of many.
So, but yeah, I guess speaking of Texas A&M, they were able to gut out a tough victory against Miami. That's what that was expected to be a top 10-15 matchup, but it was still a dogfight.
GameDay was scheduling flights, hotels, everything, and then App State went in there and beat A&M, so they stole GameDay literally. Miami comes to town missing Xavier Restrepo, their top receiver to that point. That was going to be tough. I mean, Van Dyke's super talented, obviously. One of many in the ACC at QB. They're just doing really, really good things so far. But it came up short 17-9. Good day for defense. Max Johnson in the start for A&M, relieving Haynes King. Did enough to win the game. Games like that.
I think that's something Texas A&M fans wanted because Haynes was not.
Yeah. I think just the opportunity not being given to any other quarterback as they struggled against App State was something they didn't quite agree with. I don't think just getting a general sense of the fan base's reaction to that game. I think it was hands king all the way through. So Max Johnson getting a full opportunity, getting the start, and they get a big win over an ACC team that some people still think could win the ACC. So
Yeah. Luckily
look good on the resume.
Yeah, luckily for Miami, it wasn't a conference game, so they're still very much in the fold. Tyler Van Dyke's still a dog. Doesn't help when you're out with your top guy. Where's Frank been? Is Frank hurt? Frank
I haven't
Ladson?
heard a word about him. Yeah, I
I
really
remember he
haven't.
transferred there, and
Right.
I mean, obviously Miami would want their number 2, number 3 guys to step up and be able to produce more, but you can't be mad about an 8-point just dog loss. Like, I wouldn't necessarily give it a pretty loss, but
Yeah, not quite. I think a little more offense involved, you could get to that territory. I mean, I mentioned it on the Slate show. I mean, if not this past Saturday, win for this A&M team. But they're not just playing for now. They got the top recruiting class coming in 23. We've seen with player mobility on the rise, which I think, has its benefits. Not if you're losing games like App State and things like that, and you just can't ever right the ship. These guys are not going to go truly, just follow the money. They're going to get more successes where they can build something, be a part of something special as they try and transition their career to playing days on Sunday. So,
especially where the resources some of these schools have nowadays and the ability to attract players, like not necessarily NIL wise, just resource wise. Some of those guys they're gonna go somewhere else. They want to see winning programs, so that's how you keep good recruiting classes. You gotta win. You gotta put the talent on the field.
Those top recruits can literally go anywhere, especially nowadays. So I mean, you've got to keep success going and allow them to come in and build off it. So I'll give Jimbo credit there. I think the seat warm stuff was a bit premature, but certainly now some reinvigorated hope in that fan base. I mean, they've got Bama on the schedule still, so you never know. As far as resumes go, this is a big one for A&M this year and beyond with their recruiting success and keeping that going.
Yep. So the SEC is hot in the streets. I mean, they got game day this week. I mean, they're supposed to have it last week. They got Tennessee and Florida this week. Big rivalry game. Got a lot more hype this year with both teams being top 25 or top 20, because I know Florida kind of.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of shout-outs to former Clemson coaches, Jeff Scott, that USF program hasn't had many bright spots lately, unfortunately, but he almost very much had one Saturday. Knuckleball and a field goal, not the best hold there to tie late. They had turned over Anthony Richardson like twice.
Yeah.
And that game held them to 112 yards passing. I mean, they went into the same swamp that we saw Utah fall in, and they came out of there a field goal away from OT.
So, yeah, and that kind of goes back to the theme of uncertainty and overreaction, because AR-15, his Heisman candidacy was as high as high, and now it's back down as low as low, because he's not looked good the past 2 games.
He went from sleeper to fringe New York after a week to not even in the state of New York. I mean, there's just no way.
Yeah. 10 for 18 with 112 yards and 2 interceptions against USF. You can't do that.
Yeah. I'm sure he contributed on the ground as well, but I mean,
your quarterback is supposed to pass.
A disastrous loss. Right.
Yeah.
You'd think. But yeah, I mean, even for a dual threat guy like him, I mean, you got to put something in the air. He wasn't able to do it. 2 turnovers again. Just you'd like to think they can figure it out, but they've got SEC teams coming in that go to Knoxville this week, so it doesn't get any easier. If anything, it gets much harder. So I don't know about Florida now. We saw them go from unranked to 12, and then let it down the very next week. So
yeah, and now they got to go to a very hostile environment and against a hot offense, to put it that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, maybe not the most strenuous early season slate, but they went in, got a win against Pitt, Slovis knocked out, but I mean, they still had to win a game in OT against Patty, the backup. So
they're doing their job. They're scoring. That's what they got to do. So
right. I mean, you got to have wins on the resume, however you can get them to this point. They've done that each and every week, so can't knock them there. They get game day. Those fans, when things are going well, are as rowdy as just about anybody. Hopefully, no golf balls or mustard or anything on the field this weekend. But
I hope not.
Yeah, that should be a good one.
When does Tennessee play Georgia? Is it
November, maybe? I guess later in the season. I could be wrong.
Yeah, because that could be I was saying if they played them back to back, then that would be a big.
No, I don't think it's like that. But I mean, that could be for the East.
Oh yeah, they got them in November because they got.
Yeah.
They got Florida this week, bye week, Tennessee or LSU, Bama, Tennessee, Martin, and then Kentucky, and then at Georgia. So yeah, tough little stretch there. I mean LSU they beat Mississippi State, so I mean they don't.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what to think of them.
I don't either. I think it's just how much is Brian Kelly going to be able to get out of those guys being bought in and believing in the culture he's trying to establish and all that. And I will say the accent shtick and the rest of it probably isn't the way to go, but
Yeah.
With his track record up in South Bend, he will have plenty of opportunity to figure it out and get things rolling there. But yeah, so some teams in some dangerous spots. Texas and USC, two blue bloods seemingly on the rise again. They really, I think, again with USC having Stanford last week, handle that game with ease. We mentioned it earlier in the show, but playing Jake Hayner in their place, that's not a guy who you want to underestimate. That's a hungry Fresno State team, eager to put their names on the map, like we've seen App State and Marshall do to this point. And like I said, unfortunately, 21-10 at halftime, you got thinking, maybe, but he was carted off with an injury, was on the field in crutches, the duration, and that score got out of hand pretty quick. But Texas at Hudson Card played UTSA, dangerous team. That's another team that's going to give you everything because they have that game circled since the schedules come out. So to their credit, it was close for a bit. But I think they won by 2 or 3 scores in the end of it.
Yeah. I think based off of all the hype from this season, I mean outside of Georgia, obviously, I think USC has been one of the more impressive teams this year. They were obviously with Lincoln Riley coming in, Caleb Williams. They were expecting their expectations were already high through the ceiling, basically. And they've just about pretty much met them. They've been through 2 tough upset bid type games and handled them soundly, and they look good. I kind of regret going with Utah in the Pac-12, but
yeah,
I was skeptical about how he was going to be his first season, but I should have known better.
Yeah, no, what more dangerous way to start your conference slate than at David Shaw and Stanford, a team that's played the villain role time after time, even when they're down without guys like Luck or McCaffrey. I mean, they have done it multiple times. You wonder how Shaw's there that long. It's games like that against teams like that, and they win those games, especially at home. So credit to Addison Williams and those guys for getting through that test. And then again, even at home, Fresno State, that's one of these teams that you tell yourself, "Oh, wait, the game's over before you snap the ball, then you're going to be in trouble." And it was very much in reach at halftime. Unfortunately, injury played a part in that game shifting heavily towards USC in the box score towards the end of it. But I think, as they embark on the real meat of the schedule, it's pretty encouraging results early on from a team that you can maybe sneak up on without a lot of continuity or snaps together, things like that. So Pac-12 not dead. We saw Oregon bounce back this week too. So maybe let's early bury in that conference.
We're on a crash course probably to see USC and Oregon. Oregon? Yeah, no, it's Oklahoma State. Yeah, I was thinking the wrong state team. That's black and orange, but yeah. Speaking of teams that are exceeding expectations, Penn State went down to Jordan Hare and put it to Auburn.
I mean, that TJ Finley-led offense isn't inspiring a lot of confidence. I think Brian Harsin may be the next Power 5 guy to get the axe. But, Jordan Hare is not an easy place to play when it's rocking. It was a night game. Maybe not the most rowdy fan base, but, you hear all the time, the SEC just different. Is it? Because, Sean Clifford and Penn State went down there and beat them 41-12, and it was not that close.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. That was a pencil in what you want to score type game. They
beat the brakes off of them
early and often. I feel bad for Tank Bigsby being wasted down there, to be frank.
A lot of people are saying he missed out on transferring last year.
I understand that from the opportunity of playing for a better team, obviously, but I will give him credit for sticking around. So
see, thinking about that now that I think about it, that kind of annoys me because people moan and complain about when athletes do transfer for the better of themselves, but when the guy doesn't transfer, sticks to his school and doesn't have his best season around him, they're like, oh, he should have transferred. He should have been out of here long ago. Like, make up your minds. Decide on which side of the fence you want to be on. Or just let them be. Let the players be.
Yeah, I mean, Rattler caught hell for taking his talents to an SEC school with a new coach, some promise there, and it hadn't worked out so far. But I mean, if you're going to be on one side or the other, you can't just flip back and forth when it's a certain team or a certain conference or your team or something like that. I mean, if DJ had chosen to go the route that Rattler did, I mean, there'd be Clemson fans still cursing his name to this day and for years. So I think in the case of guys like DJ and Tank Bigsby, who, good players, teams maybe not what expected to be overall, and they stick to it, and they're still there trying to build off of last year and see what they can make out of it. So I will say the inconsistency in that is really frustrating. Let me pick a side. At least you get credit for being firm in what you believe in with these takes, but to flip flop like some people do with certain players, or if it's the SEC or the Big Ten or whatever, just that's what frustrates me the most.
Yeah, I agree. It's the way this is the landscape of football now. I mean, you got coaches getting bought out, so.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, speaking of, the consequences of losing a check game, that's 2 in 2 weeks now. We had Scott Frost last week. Georgia Southern got $1.4 million to come into Lincoln and beat them, and Frost was fired 14 hours later. And now we see Arizona State paying Eastern Michigan $1.5 million to come to their place and beat them 30-21. And you actually sent us this today, some video of Herm Edwards talking to, I'm assuming is like
I think it was
the president.
Yeah, it was the president.
What did you see there?
I mean, granted, you can't read lips because they're all turned away, but the context of him getting fired and then that video coming out, it doesn't look great. People are saying that he got fired right there and there. It was like a Lane Kiffin-esque tarmac fire, but I really don't think they would fire him right off the side of the field. I think they would have a little bit more class than that, but it is ASU. It's a party school, so you never know.
I mean, the body language didn't look promising from Herm. He's obviously frustrated that tenure there has not been what he expected. Jaden Daniels.
He knew the writing on the wall, too.
At QB. What I'm hoping is they were like, all right, we got to talk in the morning or tonight or something to that effect. And at least gave him the dignity, and I think the grace he deserves for his coaching career in the past. And, him taking the opportunity at a program that's been down for a while and trying to turn it around just didn't work. So, yeah, hopefully it was not in the end zone. I could see why they needed to part ways. He had a chance to establish something and really turn that needle the other way as far as trajectory in that program. It just didn't happen. So he'll be fine. I have no doubt. But,
yeah, he'll go do a broadcasting job. I think he's probably done coaching.
Right, he'll be in a booth soon. But yeah, it's back-to-back weeks. We see a team getting 7 figures to come play a game. They stun them, and the next morning they're in the coaching portal. So.
Yeah, and one guy we thought that needed to win this week, Freeman snuck it out of there.
Time.
There's a lot of chances that Cal was about to either tie it or take a lead.
Not in hand until zeros. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a fumble that wasn't a fumble, the Hail Mary incident. Wild ending to that game.
Yeah, if you'd have an eye on that one on Saturday, it was 24-17 Notre Dame win the clock at quadruple zeros. Cal gave them everything they wanted and more. Notre Dame won the fourth quarter 10-0. Had that written down. If you want to just really get a sense of how close that was, we saw Arkansas escape as well. Arkansas up in the top 10 where Notre Dame used to reside before dropping back-to-back games. But I don't truly believe any action would have happened with Freeman, but there would have been some stern conversations among boosters, which shouldn't have an effect on the coaching, but it certainly does. I think with this incoming era of NIL and things of that nature, as powerful as that alumni base is. But to his credit, they say he's 0-3 coming in. I don't really think it's fair to count the bowl game, to be honest. But he's in the win column now.
Those other two you got to count.
Right. No, he was at least 0-2 coming in. Did get the win. Showed the home fans something that maybe they can build off of the rest of the season. It will not be a storied one from what I've seen from that team about a month in. But, if he can salvage that to any degree, that's just going to bring those guys in that locker room back next year that much closer, and they'll have a chance to be a special program again.
Yep. So I would like to see him win. He seems like a good guy, good coach, good fit for Notre Dame. So he's just got to get the feel for it. So I mean, it's tough to open up against Ohio State, but losing to Marshall is not a great sign, but bounce back, big win for him.
I mean, to play the trends of the property game, Marshall did go to Bowling Green and lose in overtime over the weekend. So,
yeah,
Stone Belt is not always 100% with that kind of stuff.
Any given
good
week
for Notre Dame. Exactly. Yeah, any given Saturday, we've seen that. I think we're 4 weeks in, technically with week 0, but it's been chaos everywhere. One thing adding to the chaos is how delusional some fan bases can be. And who else do we go to for that than good old Rocky Top, Tennessee, where, of course, they face Florida this week. They're a sizable favorite because I am aware of 2 supposed diehard Tennessee fans who have placed pretty large wagers on Florida to win outright this weekend. And they've pitched it as a win-win because either the team wins, they're the favorite to finish number 2 in the East. They get past a big hump in Florida that's had their number for years. And so they've elected to, I mean, I won't say names. I'll say one of them bet $50 on Florida money line plus 300, I think, and the other one bet 200. So these 2 diehard Vols have taken, I mean, that's a solid chunk of change right there. Yeah.
No
and have
faith
bet
in your
against
team.
their teams to lose, not cover, to lose outright. As I'm not aware of the spread, but
So
3-1, they're laying 2 touchdowns at least.
They're saying it's a win-win. So if they win,
yes,
the game,
right.
But they're going to be down. Oh my God, that.
Right, but then the flip side is even worse in that if they lose at home to Florida in their most promising season in half a decade.
So at that point, why don't you just bet the other side too? I mean,
then their profit from getting beat by Florida at home will then somehow compensate.
Somehow bet the money you would make. I don't know. Like
the answer is to not do it at all. To bet against your own team as a supposed fan is bananas to me. I don't I can't see myself.
I don't bet against us. I don't bet for us.
I don't understand that.
I never touch our games either way.
No,
one, I don't trust us, and 2, I don't think we're going to lose every single game. I'm not going to bet.
As a true fan, there's enough going on emotion-wise and things like that. You don't want to be upset anyway because they didn't win by enough points. Just stupid.
Yeah.
So our resident half Vol fan when they're winning, Jacob, is not here tonight, but I will surely get his take on this when he's back with us. Long story short, do not do this. I don't care if you make money off it or if you win and then lose money. Like that's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. One of them I know listens, so hopefully get some feedback there. Just do not do it. The amount of time he spent trying to pitch me this and like really walk me through how this made sense, I was just like, we're speaking English and Mandarin right now. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. That's some stupid. That's like there's just no faith.
So Florida in a win would actually elate some volunteers on Saturday. So win, I guess.
Yeah,
you can cover a bar tab, but you still lost to Florida.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. Speaking of things that made no sense, though, switching hour on the NFL again. It might be the best hour in sports. I mean, NFL Red Zone is one of the greatest creations that man has had in the last ever. Because that's what Scott Hansen does with that show and that window and that witching hour should get an Oscar every year.
Like I was saying the other week with the Red Zone, college football news one. I mean, the way App State was ending and all those other games, like it'd be crazy to see all those at one time. I mean, we saw what happened with the NFL between the Jets, Dolphins, Jets, Browns, Dolphins, Ravens. Like it's insane. NFL proves like a game's not over till it's over. I mean, then later you had the Raiders and the Cardinals. Like it's insanity.
22-0 at halftime. I mean, good lord. I had the Cardinals in our Slate show pick them straight up, and I stopped watching. I was like, all right, that's one down. You both had Raiders. I was like, well, I'm gonna get heat for this.
Yeah, my Slate show was dead.
And they're going for 2 to tie the game.
It was wild.
And then there's some kind of delay game, false start, something. They get moved back, and they still get it.
Yeah. And inches away from
Clemson,
tipping.
Oh, there's so many should be turnovers too.
Yeah.
It was wild. Yeah, ending that game, Isaiah Simmons forcing the fumble on Hunter Renfrow, some Clemson on Clemson crime there. The fumble was recovered by Arizona and returned for a touchdown to seal the game. And you would say the craziest finish you've seen, but we saw the Jets score twice in a minute 55, 3 hours before that. So
Yeah, must be nice to score.
yeah, this is a new segment called "Let Bailey Vent" about Matt Rule and the Panthers because it's cheaper than therapy. So the floor is yours, Bailey.
I hate him. He can't even spell the word rule right. It looks like anytime any sort of decision's made on the field and they pan to him, it looks like he's trying to decide if he can trust a fart or not. Like, there's no discipline. There's no accountability. There's nothing with this team. The offense is terrible. And Baker Mayfield's running for his life every single play because the offensive line sucks. Granted, I mean, I know he's a rookie, but still, he's a top 10 draft pick. You got to perform a little bit better. You can't be. We come out on a 4th and 2, and we're trying to hard count, and then he jumps for a false start. Those are the mistakes you can't happen.
There's a bad Olay too.
Yeah. And then, like, DJ Moore's been absent for the whole season pretty much. I mean, he got a touchdown. McCaffrey's going to get hurt again, knock on wood, because he's carrying the whole offense. Defense can't tackle half the time. Our defensive coordinator is trying to run a college system, and it doesn't work. Tepper is an idiot. I miss Graham Gano. He kicked our ass, literally. We might be the worst team in the league. Show me a team that's better or worse than us right now.
I mean, as far
from
as
the first 2 weeks,
the methods of the losing, I would be hard pressed.
There's a stat that came up that Matt Rule is 1-24 when leading by 17 or when giving up 17 points, and that continued to 1-25. So
yeah, I mean, not that 17 is enough to win in the NFL week in week out, but to have that bad of a record, which shows the flip side in that you can't score much past 17.
We got the damn weapons. I mean, we got McCaffrey. DJ Moore's a stud. Shi Smith is going to be good if he can catch the ball. As much as I get annoyed by Robbie Anderson, the island boy, he can catch. And Baker's a good quarterback. If he has time to throw, he's going to make throws. It's just a frustrating thing to watch.
I think especially the frustration part comes in when the roster on the field is talented enough to at least be competent. Then you have the sidelines and the box and upstairs being the reason the team sucks every week.
It's some of the play calling is not stupid.
I mean, this roster is not the Bills, not the Chargers, not the Rams, but this is not a bottom 5 roster in the league by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, you got a top 5 running back.
Right, it's being handled so poorly that the product on the field, they can't get out of their own way. They can't even. No. The talent doesn't even have the chance to emerge past the scheme, the decisions, whatever.
It's simple stuff. It's just simple stuff. I
heard will have a college job this fall.
I heard something that any meeting Matt Rule and our D coordinator Phil Snow go in together, even if the owner wants to talk to Rule himself, the D coordinator's there with him. They're puppet boys for each other. They have to ask the other one to leave to talk to the other. It's a dumpster fire. I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. It's going to be a waste of a year, waste of McCaffrey's year. I just want to watch good football. I'm still going to put myself through the pain, but just let's talk other good games.
Yeah, just let it all out. That's that's a
ready
good
to
2-3
disappoint
minutes.
myself next week.
Right, you use this now to get it all out, and then we look to next week. We flip the page and see what the genius of Matt Rule brings us next. But I'm still a believer in Baker. I think he's got weapons. Obviously, McCaffrey, when he's healthy and he's on, like you mentioned, top 5.
Yeah, and Baker makes plays. Like, he can scramble. Last year we had Sam Darnold back there,
right,
and he is literally a pole that just stands back. He has no athleticism, so Baker's making plays, and he's keeping us in the games. If Sam Darnold was in quarterback, we'd be losing worse. So,
right. I mean, I will give the front office credit for that. They did realize a lame duck quarterback wasn't even that, and they went out and got Baker Mayfield for not a lot of draft compensation. So, a lot of bad things. That is a bright spot for the decisions in the front office and things of that nature. They did get that one right, at least I think. Even sitting at 0-2, it's clearly an improved position and one they needed badly in the past. So
enough about bad teams. Let's get into some good games. Because there was plenty, especially at the 1 o'clock hour. 2 of them. Dogfights.
I mean, the Ravens still have a tweet up, being up 28-7 going into the fourth quarter in that game for reasons I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thought the most confusing thing about them would be not paying their quarterback, who every week is adding $3, $4, $5 million to that contract, at least.
Turns out the problem with the Ravens, which not many people thought, was their defense are giving up points.
Yeah, there's some injuries in the back four, and if you're playing Tyreek Hill and now, I mean, Jalen Waddle, they both nearly had 200 yards.
Yeah.
Both scored twice. Gesicki got in the end zone and did an unfortunate rendition of the gritty. You want to give Dabo hell for something? Look at that video. That was pretty bad.
Yeah. It goes to show that, hey, we have 2 extremely fast wide receivers. Throw the ball as far as you can to it. We know it's not that far, but
right. I mean,
they're going to catch it.
They drafted a kid to come in and be a burner, and then you have one on a Super Bowl contender get disgruntled and some money issues, things behind the scenes we don't fully know and probably never will. So I'm not going to blame him more than the front office just because of what we don't know. But he was like, all right, he called a bluff, and he's out of there. He's in Miami. Tua, not a heralded QB. He had 6 TD passes on Sunday.
Yeah, that's the first time since Dan Marino.
Right. If you think it's Tua bad or the weapons not quite being there, he's got the weapons. And a game like that never, and I mean never, happens without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. No.
Waddle's a special talent. He's going to be great. I mean, just the youth movement at the receiver position with just all Jefferson, Chase. I mean, throw T. Higgins on that same team in there. People forget about Waddle a little bit. I mean, Devonta Smith, Philadelphia. I mean, it's easy to get these guys lost in the mix because they all pop off week after week.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you put him and Tyreek Hill, I mean, I don't care who the quarterback is. That's going to be dangerous. And we saw exactly what that can get you on Sunday. And it's just massive coming from behind win for Miami.
I mean, on the flip side, Lamar looked great. Like, he was flinging it around, too. He had a 75-yarder Rashad Bateman.
79-yard rushing TD, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's the first player ever with a 75-yard rushing and passing TD.
Yeah. And Bateman, he's a stud. He's going to be good, too. I mean, he topped out at, 22 miles per hour on that touchdown or something like that?
Oh, he was just burning. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think somewhat fairly, he was viewed as maybe not wide receiver 1 material, but when we saw the rapport with Lamar is fine. He's making plays, gets separation, all of that. So I think some doubts about maybe having to just lean on Mark Andrews to get the ball vertical, that's pretty much quelled at this point after week 2. I think he showed a lot of promise, and he's going to have his ups and downs as a young guy, but I really think that offense is going to need J.K. Dobbins in the run game to get going.
Yep. And get healthy on defense, too.
Right. Yeah, the Patriots next week, obviously, huge downgrade in offense, but that defense just shut down Najee and the Steelers to the tune of I believe, 20-17 win. So
yeah, and that just goes to show you with that team, especially the Steelers, how much T.J. Watt has an impact on that defense.
Right.
The Steelers dominated the Patriots dominated just about every aspect of that game. It seemed like. I mean, it wasn't a crazy bombs left and right like you saw the Dolphins Ravens, but Bill Belichick just methodically won that game.
Yeah, that TD to Aguilar was huge.
Yeah,
back on that game.
Good for him too after what happened with him in Philly.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of young players, about the QB, Trevor Lawrence, 24-0 against Jonathan Taylor, Matt Ryan, and the Colts. Now, you look at that and you think there's got to be something more to this, and there is. Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce, the top 2 receivers in Indy, were both out. But I mean, you're Frank Reich, and you don't score.
Yeah.
On a defense that Carson Wentz put 40-something on a week ago. I mean, that can't happen. I don't care who's at receiver.
Yeah. Well, and then
cannot happen.
On the flip side too, the defense. It was supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league.
Right.
The past couple of years, they have been, and
again, I mean,
between who'd they play last week? The Lions? No.
The Texans.
Between tying with the Texans and then getting shut out.
And they were lucky to tie. They were down 2 scores in the fourth quarter.
that's not looking good up in Indianapolis. I know McAfee ain't happy about that, but
No.
shout out to Trevor. He looked good.
His completion percentage up, TDs up, picks down. He's got some weapons. Not all clicking immediately, but Christian Kirk. I mean, did they overpay him? Yes.
Yeah.
But
Is he going out and performing? Yeah.
After the year they had last year and some things with coaching and all that, you got to pay a tax to bring talent in. But if you get rolling and they're winning games like this, that will not be a permanent thing. They're going to start to get guys at market value, have something promising building on. They got ETN and James Robinson in the backfield. Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, some other receivers they brought in this year. I'm forgetting one. Jones, maybe?
Speaking of the Panthers, who is that guy that they signed, Lavassier, or no? He had that weird last name at the Jaguars last year, Sanoka or
Miska Chanel. You got hurt.
I haven't seen him all year, so please.
He's injured, unfortunately.
Either way, Trevor's using his weapons. I mean, James Robinson looked good. He's got to get ETN more settled in, which I don't think is going to be a problem.
Oh, absolutely not. The biggest upgrade they had all season with all this free agent money spent was the coach. You go from Urban Meyer, whose head was everywhere but the football field, especially in his family restaurant, and then one. You bring in a coach that's won a Super Bowl. As they weren't David, they took down Goliath and the Patriots.
Yeah,
with a backup QB. To give him credit, Nick Foles played outstanding. Did we had to do to win? But you'll talk about overcoming adversity. You lose your MVP candidate starting quarterback, and then you go win a Super Bowl. That's the perfect guy for this Jags team. That has to, listen to all that they got, having number one pick back-to-back years. I think Trayvon Walker's done well so far for that defense. We've seen Aiden Hutchinson have an impact immediately, too. He had 3 sacks Sunday, I think in the first half. So that draft class looking promising already. But, this Jags team needs the right guy at the helm to guide all this talent they've got in now. And the young guys, obviously, ETN, essentially a rookie now, missed his whole rookie year. So he's a first-year player, year 2 in the league. So I'm excited for that team's future. That was one of the teams we kind of looked at like, okay, this is not going to be a one-win team this year. And trajectory has certainly looked like it's in the right direction. I mean, they're not going to contend in any serious fashion, but if the culture down, the Titans are down. The Titans, what was that final score? Got beat 41-7 by the Bills tonight. And I realize that's the best team in the AFC at their place. But, I mean, good Lord, they won that game last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily put the AFC South to the AFC South to rest. It's up in the air. Based off the first 2 weeks, all 4 teams could win it. So
yeah, and there's a lot of talent in that division, especially at running back position with Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. So
we didn't touch on the Jets and Browns, did we? It was another stunner at the end.
Yeah, some just weird decisions. Kareem Hunt runs out of bounds. They could have bled the clock and won.
Nick Chubb.
The
thing is with
points back and scores with 1:55 left. He didn't have much room to really take a dive.
Yeah, that's what
10 from the 12.
That's what a lot of people are skipping on. Like, and he got to the 2, and he was already coming around the corner, so it was kind of it was a weird play. I don't necessarily blame you. Moral of the story: your defense has got to stop him. So,
I mean, it's Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
With 1:55 left, down 14. Not only did they go down and score a 60-yard touchdown, they go for 2, get it. They're down 6. Then they get the onside kick.
Yeah, which is another thing.
To drive down the field again and hit the rookie Garrett Wilson for his 2nd touchdown of the day on the road.
Yeah.
Do you not walk on that field defensively thinking, all right,
prevent,
everything happens in front of me?
Yeah.
They can have 8 yards. They cannot have 66 yards. I mean, that's just embarrassing.
Yeah. I think they got to get rid of Brownie the Elf. You got to nick that one right in the bud. He's 0-1.
I did learn this week. That's been – I had no idea that was a thing for years.
Oh, yeah.
It was like huge in the 50s, I think. So, I did
one of those old-timey logos, so.
Right. And I think it looks – I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks funny with, what's happening on top of it. But, yeah, they might not roll that out if they're going to be doing that. Brissett did enough to win the game, the defense. You can't give up 30 to the Jets. I don't care you just can't do it. This defense has talent. I know Jadeveon Clowney, I think, left that game after an impact play early, but maybe the pass rush not quite there. But you still got Myles Garrett. You got Denzel Ward talent behind him. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
No. You mentioned something about wheeling out there. Speaking of wheeling out, RIP to Trey Lance this year.
I'm gonna say this: why the hell are you running a fullback dive with your quarterback? Just why the hell are you doing that?
It makes no sense. You're rookie. You're basically rookie quarterback who you're banking on your whole season with and your whole team
Why are you
with.
doing this? This guy doesn't succeed, you get fired.
When you got a guy like Debo and then who's Mitchell's still hurt, isn't he?
He's hurt, unfortunately. Yeah, they got Jeff Wilson. They had a
Yeah.
rookie running back that showed some promise, also left an injury Sunday. Ayuk at receiver.
They got plenty of weapons.
Obviously.
Give it to one of them.
Yeah, they got a Bosa brother on the other side. They got talent on defense in the division that's obviously known for its defense. And you design QB runs into the heart of traffic. And his ankle is going through a sock. He's out for the year. Hopefully successful surgery.
Yeah.
If not already have happened. And then it was weird because there was a good bit of celebration around Jimmy G from those players. I forget the game circumstance, but I think it was a touchdown, I'm assuming. And they just mobbed him. So maybe some things between the lines behind the scenes that we're not aware of dynamic-wise in that locker room. But as a coaching staff, you cannot – I know he has wheels can run just like Fields, but they're going to get hurt if you keep doing that. We saw it with Burrow his rookie year. What happens? You don't protect him. And this was self-inflicted because you sent him into that pass rush.
Yeah. And I guess what's lucky for them is that they played a team that won their Super Bowl last week. So Geno is
Jimmy's no slouch, obviously.
Yeah. Geno is a slouch. So
that game, it was funny. It was great to see Geno put on a good performance. He's been the victim of bad coaching almost his whole career. That was good to see him succeed in that role, but that was not sustainable.
They just don't look good.
Denver has a solid defense, plenty of talent. I think Justin Simmons was hurt, unfortunately, one of their better, more durable players, but they weren't doing that against San Francisco. I don't care where they play that game. It just doesn't matter. I forget the final score. It wasn't close. Seattle had nothing going on offense, but, they scored Glover and Russell Wilson also had nothing going. They pull out a victory against the Texans, 16-9, and one of the least impressive wins all weekend, I think.
Yeah, it was just
Nathaniel Hackett. They ran a fullback run on 3rd and 1. They're kicking like the 60-yard field goals again. They're just doing all these
a lot of people are kind
of stupid things.
They're kind of getting off the Hackett bandwagon. Russell ain't looking good either. I don't know if it's one or the other, but
I think it's. I'll tell you who's going to get asked to leave first. It's not Russell Wilson. I guarantee you that. It will be Hackett, and probably rightfully so. And unfortunately, it's collateral damage, a big part of that coaching staff as well. So, again, it's 2 weeks in, but one of the more disastrous starts to the season, especially. I mean, they gave him a huge extension, too. Judy left that game with a shoulder, I believe. So, more bad news from them in that department.
Speaking of
buzz about them, a lot of buzz about them as an AFC West sleeper. Are they going to be better than Vegas? I mean,
yeah.
They're not going to Vegas and winning, not playing like that.
Nope.
And they'd be lucky to beat them at home. So
yeah. But you said about disappointments to start a season. The Bengals. What is going on in Cincy?
That offense and that offensive line, they brought in 3 guys to revamp that offensive line, kind of like the Chiefs did, rebuild it from the ground up. It's not worse than last year. Yeah. I swear to God. It's so bad.
Yeah, Burrow just doesn't have time.
Fields gets the publicity for running for his life because, the Bears are easier to make fun of. They've had a lot less success than the Bengals, certainly, especially recently. But we want to talk about running for his life. Joe Burrow. Credit to him for doing anything on offense with the protection he gets. Couldn't get Mixon going. The run game was, if you don't have time, you can't.
He can't get
handoffs, RPO, nothing.
Can't get Jamar going, can't get T going, can't get Boyd going. Like, his main weapons, he struggles to get them to. But granted, when he does get to them, they make plays. But you got to give him time to make those plays.
A lot of their success is vertical, and you can't have that in the playbook if you have 2 seconds to get the ball out.
Yeah, ask the Panthers. Same situation. Always goes back.
Something has to change.
Yeah, and I think on the flip side, is Zeke washed?
I he was just so good at his peak, but we've seen a
Yeah.
certain fall from grace, and there's a capable backup behind him in Tony Pollard. So it just
Tony
adds to that.
Pollard, he looks better. He had more explosive plays.
Yeah.
I
They're
mean,
not
granted,
gonna
he's a
pick
different
one,
kind of he's a different kind of runner. Zeke's more your traditional power back, but has explosiveness. Tony Pollard's just all speed. He's a weapon.
And if they do pick a guy, as long as Jerry Jones is in charge, it will not be Tony Pollard.
Yeah,
Which is
it'll still be Zeke.
not his fault. Right. I think, he's a victim of circumstance at the end of the day. No matter how good he plays, they will never start him over Zeke healthy.
No. But
as much as he may deserve it, it's just not going to happen. It's not how Jerry's run the team in the past, and he's not about to change his mindset on things.
But good for Cooper Rush. I mean, came out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
He didn't do anything to blow you away, but he didn't do anything to disappoint you. You won the game.
Yeah, just another lob to the Slate show. That line opened at 7. It took until about 10 o'clock Sunday morning to move to 7.5. So if you want to talk about just warning signs, that was an indication to me that I will not be touching that game. I watched it. Wasn't a lot of action on Red Zone, unfortunately, which is where I like to spend my Sundays a lot of the time just to keep up. But yeah, that Bengals team, tough opening loss, and then things just continue to free fall.
Yeah.
Super Bowl hangover. Saw the Rams lose week 1 as well. They looked terrible late.
Gave up a big lead to the Falcons.
They tried to lose that game. They gave up, I think, 17 fourth quarter points.
Yeah.
Won by, what was it, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, Drake London. Talking about youth movement and receiving course. That kid is going to
He's going to be a stud.
Incredible. Now, on the flip side, where is Kyle Pitts and why the hell is he blocking? I realize he's capable. He's a big dude, but
yeah,
they're not getting him involved at all. And the coach post-game was, we're not playing fantasy football.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize they're all professional athletes and they're all pretty good at their jobs, but
he's still one of your best players.
Having him block for guys that Falcons fans have never heard of. I realize that, all it's fair that ends in victory, but if you're you drafted him like what, 6th overall?
Yeah.
4th overall? I mean, you don't draft a generational tight end talent who he deserved that name and that credit to block for guys that you pay a 10th of what they pay Pitts for a deserved rookie deal from where he was drafted. I mean, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
That franchise has enough with curses to be worried about, and then you're going to deprive your best player of opportunities to help you win games. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, it was Rams skated out of there with a victory. They got Allen Robinson on the board. Shout out, I guess not really a shout out, but our boy Tremaine, his first career start with the Rams, unfortunately fractured his fibula. I think one other injury with it too. So he had surgery today. Hope everything's going well. Would love to see him back on the field. Hopefully this year, if not even stronger next year.
Right, and unfortunately not his first stint on the IR. I think he had some injury issues as a rookie as well. But first start, huge opportunity, a guy that deserves it. Played really well at Clemson, and obviously showed enough to the coaching staff in LA to earn a starting spot, and then went down with that. Like I saw, he was in surgery prep this morning. Hopefully that goes well. He'll have a whole team around him, getting him back on the field, and hopefully he'll get an opportunity to start for that Rams team that, in the post-Whitworth era, is looking for answers on the O-line to really solidify that next unit that can, maybe get them back in the Super Bowl hunt. So, great to see him starting. Hate to see him hurt, and hopefully it's far from last we hear from him.
Speaking of teams built around a player, the Bucs will fight for Tom Brady.
You tell Mike Evans Marshawn Lattimore's in his zip code, he will go and hit him. It doesn't matter.
He comes flying out of nowhere. He headhunts him.
Yeah, 1 game suspension. They have history since, I think, 2017. It's like the 3rd or 4th time this has happened. Now, you don't go after Tom Brady in this league and come away unscathed. So from that perspective, Evans literally told the ref, "That's Tom Brady, what you want me to do." So fair.
But you still got to keep your head. You're a professional.
If you think you're in trouble after what he did, imagine if he did nothing. I'll say that as far as locker rooms.
I would still see getting in your face, maybe pushing him a little bit, but not full-fledged. I'm spearing you through the roof or through the ground.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 teams we mentioned on the slate show, we mentioned in this podcast, just they don't like each other. It doesn't matter who's playing. Jameis Winston had 4 fractured vertebrae, and they were in that game. They were in that game for a lot longer than most people expected. I think the spread was a field goal.
Yeah.
Jameis 3 picks in the fourth, including one for 6. I think really put the game away. I think the final was 20-3. I think.
Yeah. And that game was really boring until the fourth quarter.
Right.
There's nothing going on in that
Evans
game.
and Lattimore situation really ignited both teams, and then we saw a better product on the field, especially offensively.
Yeah.
Well, not from Jameis, but live by Jameis, die by Jameis. They died in the fourth quarter. Like I said, 3 picks, which he's on, and he's off. You're not going to win. So
yeah, and that's kind of been his MO for NFL career.
100%. Yeah, I mean, especially in Tampa Bay too.
30 passing touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Never done before. So
exactly.
That's Jabu for you.
Yeah, last game we saw last night, it was Aaron Rodgers, it was the Bears, it was in Lambeau, and the Bears got their ass kicked. So
they got robbed of a touchdown at the end.
That is true.
Fields brought the plane. That would have covered.
Some people more interested than not.
Yeah.
Towards the end there. I mean,
we
talked about teams having numbers. This Packers team and this Bears team and that Lambeau field. He had Lazard back. He scored, but I mean, Rodgers will just tear them apart with nothing.
Yeah. That's 2 years in a row where season opener Rodgers and the Packers just lay a dud. Because last year was the Saints. This year was the Vikings. And then the next game they just come out and play. He was finally using Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon this game.
Yeah.
Sammy Watkins looked good.
Yeah, he had some vertical catches. That was good to see. Yeah, Aaron Jones, talking about fantasy football, he went off yesterday. I think he finished with, what do you have on the ground, 132.
2 tutties.
One in, caught one as well from Rodgers. So
a lot of people thought that it was 2 catches, but they looked back at it and it was like backwards or something, whatever it was.
Yeah, a little more even as far as the duo goes with A.J. Dillon this week. I think Dillon had 60 yards on the ground, nothing much through the air. So, that'll flip-flop as it does. 2 talented guys capable, given the opportunities. And if you're not ride the hotter hand, because they could both be hot, and we saw that last week. So it was an Aaron Jones week in fantasy. It was Aaron Jones week on the field. And I think he single-handedly outscored the Bears. So, receivers are thin. That's why you have 2 incredible running backs that can do both on the ground and in the air. It was a 27-10 final, and it really wasn't that close. So,
yeah.
RIP to the spread, but
on the other side of that game, you got a top quarterback from a draft, and you expect him to be the focal point of your team, and you only let him throw the ball 11 times. You have 7 for 11 with 70 yards and an interception.
That's embarrassing.
You can't win football games like that. I don't care who you are, what you have. And if you have Derrick Henry in your back, you can't win football games like that.
No. I mean, they did lose Allen Robinson out west to the Rams, but they still have Darnell Mooney, very capable wide receiver 1. Not the most heralded. He hadn't earned it yet, to be frank, but I think, like Bateman, if you give him the ball, he's going to do well. They've got Khalil Herbert in the backfield, can catch passes. David Montgomery is a great running back behind him, and they just can't do anything with it.
They were able to run the ball, but not with Fields. Like Montgomery and Herbert, they were running the ball. I mean, they were able to, they were gashing through them, but you don't run a shotgun sneak at the goal line, or on 4th and 1. So a lot of interesting play calls.
If you want to beat a team better than you, best way to do it is to not give them the ball. When we saw App State, they had 41 minutes of possession against A&M.
Yeah.
They can't beat you without the ball. And I think that they just could not have enough success on offense to truly keep it away from Rodgers. 27 points from a Rodgers-led offense, he's certainly done better. But when is the last time that 27 points wasn't enough to beat the Bears? Because, I mean, this offense, Biggie there or not, is just not. They haven't figured it out yet, unfortunately, for Fields and the fans and everybody else.
And Fields was not happy with the fans either.
He needs to stop that.
Yeah.
That is a lose proposition.
That's a rookie mistake. You're not a rookie anymore.
Right. He could very well be right, but it does not matter because those fans are not going to take that lightly, especially in a sports town like Chicago.
Yeah. You want them on your side.
The team sucks. So if they lose 27-24, sure.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed again. I don't want to hear that. I just can't. And again, it could very well be right. Does not matter. It just doesn't. You can't. That is not. I mean, he's going to be there a long time, God willing. So you really want to have that relationship with the fans, and it can be frustrating. Obviously, they don't want to get murdered by Aaron Rodgers throwing to Alan Lazard all night. I mean, I understand that, but you can't take the anger out on the fans. I just don't. You're not going to ever win that battle. So.
Yeah, I agree. So, who knows?
Yeah. Anything else from another crazy football weekend?
It wore me slap out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to thank you guys if you made it this far. I know with the interview in there with Chase Brice, our guy, it's a little bit longer of an episode, but really, really good 25, 30 minutes with our guy there, talking all things App State, what they've done so far, what they got going on beyond, and, just Chase is a guy, great quarterback, better person. Y'all saw him after the game, helping fans down from the wall, storm the field like you saw Clemson so many times. So really enjoyed that. Hoping to have a lot more guests on as well. We would have that cooking for a while, and we finally made it work time-wise. So really happy to have that. Obviously, we want our another co-host back, and Jacob. We hope to have him back. He's got some real-life things a lot more important. So obviously,
definitely.
That takes first precedent. But again, yeah, thanks for sticking around. This will be as you usually listen, and then on YouTube as well, the 1009 podcast. And then want to see what we're like on social media, get some pick updates, things like that. We're at the 1009 on Twitter as well. Anything else, Bailey?
That's about it. This was a long night. We were putting in the effort tonight. 110%. Keep your filthy hands off my podcast.
Yeah, we were all in tonight, and we will be back all in on Thursday with the Slate Show. We're thinking about sticking with college and NFL separate, just in case you follow one more than the other. You'll have to try and sift through to find either one. So we like the split model, but any feedback, get us on Twitter what you think about that. And we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Deuces.
Subscribe.